Today, we're diving into a story about a village where silence isn't just golden, it's literally the only thing keeping you alive. We're talking about a place where making a single sound could cost you your tongue, a fate that, you gotta admit, some people might consider way worse than death.
So let's just start with that question, because it's really the heart of this whole thing. Just imagine, for a second, living in a place where every word is a massive gamble, every whisper could bring on a curse. What would you do? And what would you be willing to sacrifice just to get through the day?
All right, so our story really begins with this: the secret of the silence. We're in a village that's completely gripped by fear, a place where the most terrifying sound you can hear is absolutely nothing at all.
Welcome to the village of Khatirpur. You know, from the outside, it probably looks pretty peaceful. But that calm is just a mask, a really fragile one, hiding this all-consuming terror that everyone lives with.
And this is the central mystery of Khatirpur. I mean, can you even picture it? A market with no one haggling, a playground with no kids laughing. All the normal sounds of life have just been wiped out, and in their place is this heavy, watchful quiet.
This is it. This is the only way they communicate. A child asks a question, they don't get an answer. What they get is a hand clapped over their mouth and a single finger pressed to their lips. And that's not just a suggestion to be quiet. In Khatirpur, that gesture is a law of survival.
So into this silent world walks police officer Kaslada. She's an outsider, right? She's there to solve a murder, but she immediately runs smack into a literal wall of silence. Nobody will talk to her. They just shake their heads and walk away. Even her old friend from school, Neha, will only communicate by secretly, and I mean secretly, writing notes on paper late at night, terrified of anyone hearing. So, what is making everyone so afraid? Why the silence? Well, now we get to the heart of it, the witch's terror. This is where Neha finally reveals the horrifying truth in one of those secret, handwritten notes. Turns out, the source of all this terror is a curse. There's this supernatural being known only as the tongue-cutting witch. And on the night of the new moon, she roams the village. If she hears your voice, even a whisper, she steals your tongue. And just like that, you are mute forever. And her goal? Oh, it is chillingly clear. This isn't just some random act of cruelty. Nope. She's on a mission to create a world of absolute, total silence. And she's starting with this one small village.
And this is where things get deeply personal, because the witch decides to target Keslalada, the one person who dares to break the silence. In this terrifying encounter, Keslalada feels a supernatural grip on her throat, and then, nothing. Her voice is gone. The investigator has now become a victim of the very curse she came to solve.
Okay, so now she's mute and totally desperate. Keslata and Neha realize they have no chance of fighting this kind of supernatural evil on their own. They need an expert, someone with specialized knowledge who actually understands the dark forces they're up against. So their search for help turns into this incredibly tense investigation. First, they find a clue. The murder victim, the reason Keslata is here, was actually working with a spiritual expert, a tantric, trying to get her own son's voice back. Then, an old man points them in the right direction, to the haunted cremation grounds. But even just getting there is a test. The witch appears, and they're forced to take off their shoes and walk barefoot, just so the sound of their footsteps won't give them away.
And when they finally make it, in the eerie silence of the cremation grounds, they find him, the tantric. He isn't hiding, not at all. He's meditating, deep in a trance, gathering all the spiritual energy he's going to need for the fight he knows is coming.
And that brings us to the final showdown. Look, this isn't just a fight between two powerful beings. This is a battle for the soul of Khatirpur, a battle for the right to speak, to communicate, to just be human.
I mean, the stakes just could not be clearer. On one side, you've got the tantric. He's a force for liberation, fighting to restore everyone's voice. And on the other side, you've got the witch, a force of pure oppression, who demands absolute, unbroken silence.
But here's the thing. Victory comes at a terrible, terrible price. The tantric confronts the witch, and he goes right for the source of her power, this amulet she wears around her neck. He unleashes all of his spiritual energy, and the amulet explodes. The good news? The witch is destroyed. The bad news? The backlash is just too powerful, and the tantric is mortally wounded in the blast.
So, with the curse finally broken, The sun rises on a brand new day for Kadipur. That heavy blanket of fear has been lifted, and the change is immediate. It's profound.
And what's the very first sign that freedom has been won? Keslata, who is hiding and watching the whole battle, suddenly feels it. Her voice comes rushing back. The curse is lifted from her, which means it's been lifted from the entire village.
As Keslata and Neha rush over to him, the tantric speaks his final words. And he's not bitter, not at all. He's not regretful. His sacrifice was a choice, and he says he's happy because he knows he freed the village.
You know, that sacrifice has a lasting impact. The nights in Katirpur are no longer silent. You can hear voices, even laughter in the air. The fear is just gone. And in their gratitude, the villagers all pool their money together and build a statue of the tantric right in the village square, a permanent monument to the man who died so they could all speak again.
And that's really what this story leaves us with, isn't it? In this tale, the cost of freedom from a curse that has haunted generations was the ultimate sacrifice of a hero, and it really makes you wonder, what is the true price of breaking a cycle of fear?